Hello there, very good evening and welcome to your Prime Time News Bulletin. I'm Shane Silva.
And I'm Kumarini Rajakaruna. French security forces have arrested a man suspected of a spate of killings in Toulouse, which put the city on high alert.
The News First International desk has a comprehensive report on this story, which also includes the incidents that unfolded before the arrest took place.
But before that, let's take a look at tonight's headlines.
4 suspects taken into custody over the killing of 2 Buddhist monks at the Kotte Rajamahawihare. More protests in Colombo over India's stance on the US draft resolution on Sri Lanka at the UNHRC. And complaints from the ruling party itself that football in the country has collapsed.
පාපන්දුවේ කඩාවැටීමක් තියෙනවා. ඒක අපිට හංගන්න බෑ ගරු මන්ත්‍රීතුමනි.
For the stories in detail now. 4 individuals have been taken into custody on suspicion of involvement in the killing of 2 Buddhist monks residing at the Kotte Rajamahawihara last night. Police media spokesperson SP Ajit Rohana said the 4 suspects were arrested in Mirihana and Maharagama. The police have also seized a motor vehicle believed to have been used by the suspects.
The quick thinking of a youth who was worshipping at the temple to make a note of the registration plate of a vehicle which had been moving around the vihara in a suspicious manner on the night of the crime had provided the police with a valuable lead.
A very intelligent person was in the vicinity of the scene, and he was able to collect some information about the suspects and the vehicle. So therefore, on that particular information, we were able to trace many evidence in this connection.
As soon as the double killing came to light, police teams commenced investigations at the vihara. Police dogs were also used for this purpose. The 2 monks were killed at approximately 9:45 last night on the upper floor of the monks' quarters at the Kotte Rajamahawihara. The police said they had been attacked with sharp weapons. The bodies of the 2 monks were taken to the Colombo South Teaching Hospital last night following preliminary investigations. Venerable Pandita Pittigala Jinasiddhi Thera was 80 years old at the time of his demise. He took to the robes at the age of 7 at the Kotte Rajamahawihara.
We do not understand why this happened. No matter what, he was an innocent person and had good values. Pandita Thera usually meditates in the evening. He meditates for a long time until night. In the morning he walks about. Gunaratna Thera comes for pujas and takes flowers with him. They were very good in that way.
Venerable Borales Gamwe Gunaratna Thera, who was also killed last night, was 60 years of age.
From an early age he was inclined to take to the robe. He was doing a good job at age 32 when he eventually decided to give it all up and take the robe. Since the day he took the robe, he has been at the Rajamahawihara. He was attached to it.
Several police teams are continuing investigations into the killings.
Now we have deployed 3 special police teams under the supervision of an assistant superintendent of police, and police is conducting further investigation. So after the conclusion of investigation, we will be able to reveal the reason for this double murder.
The bodies of the 2 slain monks are to be brought to the Kotte Rajamahavihara, and a discussion on the final rites will be held tonight. With news of the killing spreading, a large crowd, including public representatives, gathered at the Kotte Rajamahavihara.
Several demonstrations were carried out in Colombo today as well to protest against the draft resolution on Sri Lanka at the United Nations Human Rights Council session in Geneva, Switzerland.
The National Sangha Council handed over a letter to the Indian High Commission in Colombo today. The letter requests India to oppose the US draft resolution on Sri Lanka tabled at the United Nations Human Rights Council session in Geneva. The Mahasangha marched to the Indian High Commission in Colombo, and several monks were later allowed to enter the High Commission premises to hand over the letter. The protest march organised by the National Fisheries Federation commenced from near the Golface Green in Colombo today. Tamil fishermen from the north and east also joined the protest march. The demonstrators first marched the US Embassy in Colombo to hand over a letter. However, the march carried out by the fishermen had to be halted midway, with the police putting up barriers across the road. Thereafter, several representatives of the Federation entered the US Embassy to hand over the letter.
Several development projects are underway at various levels in the north and east following the 30-year-long war. Tamil representatives from the northern and eastern provinces and from Colombo and the southern province have come here, and we are requesting the US Embassy to withdraw the resolution that is to be brought up at the United Nations Human Rights Council. By doing so, provide the necessary assistance for this country to move forward.
Representatives of the National Fisheries Federation then made their way to the Indian High Commission in Colombo, where they handed over another letter which opposed India's stance on the draft resolution. Furthermore, the Desha Premi Bhikkhu Perumana is carrying out a satyagraha opposite the Fort Railway Station in protest against the draft resolution on Sri Lanka. Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa was also present.
The government of Sri Lanka has requested India to reconsider its stance on the draft resolution on Sri Lanka moved by the United States at the 19th session of the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, Switzerland.
India's The Hindu newspaper reported today that Sri Lanka's Minister of External Affairs, Professor G.L. Peiris, had contacted his Indian counterpart, S.M. Krishna, after the Indian Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh revealed the Indian government's stance on the draft resolution in the Lok Sabha, India's lower house of parliament. Professor Peiris had requested the Indian government to reconsider its stance on the draft resolution, considering the close ties between the two nations. The Hindu newspaper reports that the Indian Minister of External Affairs had responded with a proposal that Sri Lanka implements the recommendations of the report of the Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Commission.
On to other local stories now. Importers of powdered milk powders say that they are facing a major crisis as a result of the continuous depreciation of the rupee. They point out that if the prices in the local marketplace do not increase, then a price amendment is necessary given the current situation.
Milk powder importers have been continuously appealing to the Consumer Affairs Authority that they be allowed to increase milk powder prices. They say that with the continuous depreciation of the rupee, they cannot continue to import milk powder at current prices.
The payment for the goods we imported in January and February is paid only now. The price of a kilogram of milk powder increases every day depending on the dollar rate.
Because you pay in rupees, and also we sell in rupees, so clearly the costs have gone up. Even though the price in the global market hasn't gone up, the depreciation of the rupee had really added costs.
On the 2nd of May last year, the Consumer Affairs Authority set a maximum retail price of 264 rupees for a 400-gram packet of milk powder. Importers have also requested the Consumer Affairs Authority on various occasions that they be allowed to change the price structure for other products as well as a result of the increase in overhead costs due to the expenditure on milk powder. Importers are requesting that they be allowed to increase the price of a standard 400-gram packet of milk powder from 264 rupees to 281 rupees. They are also appealing to be allowed to increase the price of a kilogram of milk powder by 47 rupees. The companies had made a request on the 16th of February to increase milk powder prices. The companies say that although a response should have been received within 30 days, no such response has been forthcoming. Meanwhile, responding to the appeals made by some companies, the chairman of the Consumer Affairs Authority, Rumi Marzouk, has stated that as per the Gazette notification issued in terms of Section 20, Subsection 5 of the Consumer Affairs Authority Act Number 9 of 2003, on the 2nd of May 2011, the current maximum retail price of milk powder will remain in force.
What did they do on the 30th day, that was the 16th of March? They sent us a fax at 5:02 p.m. stating that the prices cannot be revised and that milk powder should be sold as per the last price revision on the 2nd of May 2011. If the Consumer Affairs Authority intends to have the old price, what they should do is to provide us with a subsidy to cover up our losses. However, they do not even agree to this. They are engaged in a large-scale racket. They are misleading the government, the public and companies.
However, companies say that even though world prices of milk powder have not increased, the value of the dollar has risen sharply against the rupee.
This is the inefficiency of the officers. I am well aware that the officers do not have a clear understanding about what they do and the subjects that are taken up at the department. I would challenge anyone in this regard. The officers at the department are tasked with making recommendations and implementing them. The ministers and the cabinet are tasked with approving these recommendations. The recommendations are tabled in the cabinet and the subject minister obtains the approval subsequently. On this subject, it is clear that officers are not making the recommendations in an appropriate manner. The officers are saying that the price of milk powder in the world market has decreased. If we imported a kilo of milk powder for $4.10, we had to pay 451 rupees without taxes in May last year. However, today this is reduced by 150 rupees. The price of a kilogram of milk powder now stands at $3.95. Let's calculate this with the current dollar rate, which is 131 rupees. The figure stands at 517 rupees. This is a difference of 66 rupees. For Maliban, this amounts to 66 million rupees a month. The government or the ministry can make a recommendation to the officers to purchase milk powder through Satosa. We cannot import low-quality milk powder. We have to be responsible to the people.
They point out that when the request was made on the 16th of February, the value of the dollar was 119 rupees and 80 cents, whereas at present, the value of the dollar has increased to 132 rupees, making the situation unbearable. They say that suspicion is mounting whether this is a move to destabilize local businessmen.
So we keep highlighting these issues to the government and they have to take some action because we can't go on like this. So you can't just wish away this problem. You have to address it, and obviously the only way to address it is to give us a reasonable price revision.
Today they purchased a litre of milk from a local dairy farmer at 50 rupees and are selling it at 150 rupees. I used to purchase a pot of curd for 120 rupees last year. However, today it is 250 rupees. Look at the profit margin. Have they used dollars to cut grass? No. I think this is someone's agenda. We requested a 15 rupee price revision. However, today we have to request for 40 rupees. Who is responsible for this? It's the officers. I believe they are trying to say close down all your businesses. Close down your business. We don't mind whether you operated for 75 years. We will get this done through our people. That is the notion that is embedded in our minds.